Hello, everyone, and welcome to Café New Canadians. Welcome to yet another session as part of Café New Canadians, where every week we discuss important topics that help newcomers and international students within Canada succeed over here. This time, we'll be discussing the topic that you can see on your screens, which is exploring Northeastern Ontario. Stay tuned with us over here because we will be discussing about just about everything that's there for you to know about the region. Why is it that newcomers and international students should consider that as their home, the opportunities that the region offers, and lots more exciting things that one can do over there. Café New Canadians is brought to you by New Canadians. Now, New Canadians is a TV and web-based show that connects you to information and resources that help you succeed in Canada. You can watch us on Omni TV. That's where we air our weekly episodes. And you can also check out our content on YouTube and on our website. I'm your host, Shruti Dargan, and I will be moderating today's session. And I'm extremely happy to have a great panel with us today. Some guest speakers who will be sharing their wonderful insights and telling you a lot more about the region. I'm pleased to welcome Julie Joncas, the Executive Director, Far Northeast Training Board, Deborah Robertson, who is the Executive Director, Timmins and District Multicultural Center, and James Franks, who is the Economic Development Officer at City of Temiskaming Shores. We will also be joined by a couple of immigrants from Temiskaming Shores and Timmins. We've got Myagmarbat and Raj and Jadeja, a husband and wife over here, who will be sharing their experiences of living in the region and how is it that they have really benefited from it. Our expert panel will, of course, give you lots of tips, and we should get the discussion going with a very warm welcome to all of you. Before we start talking to our guest speakers, I'll remind the viewers joining us on YouTube and on Zoom that you can share your questions with us for our guest speakers to answer during the session. Share them with us on the Q&A section over here on Zoom if you're joining us here, or in the chat section on YouTube if you're joining us over there where we're live streaming this webinar. So once again, a very, very warm welcome to all of you, our guest speakers. It's lovely to have you on board over here with us today. And let's get discussing the topic already. So could we maybe go around the virtual room over here today and just to take our audience through exactly what each one of you had to contribute in the session. Maybe let's just do a quick round of introductions. How about we start with you, Deborah?
Oh, hi, everyone. My name is Deborah Robertson. I'm the Executive Director of the Timmins and District Multicultural Center. We offer settlement services to newcomers, permanent residents, international students. We also hold the contract for the LIP. The LIP is the Local Immigration Partnership, which doesn't work directly with newcomers themselves, but works with the community at large.
Thank you for that. Raj and Shweta, how about we go with you next?
Sure. So we are entrepreneurs at the Northern region. We lived there almost 8 years and we are really enjoying the North.
Lovely. Molly, how about you? How's it been for you?
My name is Molly Myagmarbat. I'm from Mongolia. I've been living in Timmins a little over 5 years. I work for Lakeshore Gold, Timmins West Mine as a purchaser.
All right. And Julie? Julie, I think you might be on mute.
You are right. I was on mute.
No problem.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Julie Joncas. I'm the Executive Director at the Far Northeast Training Board, which is a workforce planning board. So what we do is promote the job opportunities in our communities, in our region of Northeastern Ontario, and also develop partnerships to make sure that we match skills with the jobs that are available around here.
Lovely. Thank you for that. And James, coming to you. Please tell us a little about your expertise here today.
Sure. So James Franks, I'm the Economic Development Officer here at City of Temiskaming Shores. I'm also an immigrant to the region from many years ago. I moved here in 1980 from England through Zimbabwe. Anyway, so I've been here a while. I love this community, and my job is to work with all the other services to try and assist people and businesses to move to our communities. So that's where I can help.
Lovely. So our participants, everyone who's been joining us today, has definitely seen the level of expertise that each of our guest speakers bring with them. And who better than James over here to start with, to give us an introduction of the region. Why don't you introduce the viewers to Northeastern Ontario and tell us a little about the region?
Sure. So we're talking about a piece of Northern Ontario. Northern Ontario is so large that we try and break it into smaller chunks, so it's at least somewhat easy to see the size of it. Northeastern Ontario basically is a third of Northern Ontario, next to the Quebec border. I would say our region starts about 3.5 to 4 hours north of Toronto, and probably goes as far as 8 hours north of Toronto, covering a various group of communities. I'm with the Timiskaming Shores. We're sort of right in the middle of that, as is Timmins, who's about 2 hours north of us. So sort of we're in the middle of the Northeast Ontario section. It's a beautiful area, lots of small communities, a few larger communities, but nothing of any major city size. Our communities are generally, most communities are 10,000 or less, and there are 3 communities that are between 40,000 and 150,000 in sort of the northeast area of Ontario. But many jobs, the communities are generally natural resource based, likely from years past of mining, forestry, and now agriculture. So that, and the communities were built around that, but obviously now there are many services required to service all of those industries. So certainly some diverse economies through those communities, and a beautiful lifestyle opportunity. Obviously, the one of the advantages of Northern Ontario is outdoor life. Everybody lives near a lake, and honestly, the cost of owning property in Northern Ontario is just considerably less than it is in many large centers in the south. So it gives people the opportunity to buy a home at a reasonable cost and have a comfortable life for their family.
I think that's been a great overview. Of course, our viewers joining us today would have learned a lot about what exactly the place has to offer. Now, one of the main concerns that immigrants, and correct me if I'm wrong over here, when moving to Canada is they decide the place where they have to move also on the basis of the weather. So let's hear it from Raj and Sweta here and Molly on what their experience has been like. How has Northeastern Ontario been treating you in terms of weather?
Well, it's beautiful. Winters are definitely full of snow. It is cold, but once you are there, you start enjoying the beauty. You accept the nature, and I think with time, it's not that harsh. It's not windy. There's a lot of snow, but you really wait for the summer because that's the most beautiful part of the year.
Yeah. Raj, anything that you have to add to that?
And that's like, it's very easy to settle down, like for new immigrant or student, because the people are very welcoming and they are always ready to help you. So that's the best part, I feel.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the key things that, you know, anyone who's planning to move to the region would want to be sure of. So you're helping them understand that. Molly, how about you?
Winter is one of my favorite seasons, actually. It's so beautiful, and like, I'm sure the Timmins is well known for the cold and dry winter. The amount of snow we get is like not even compared to Toronto or down south. We get so much of snow, then that comes with a lot of outside sport activities you can do if you are willingly want to go out in the -40. But for me, I love cross-country skiing, and me and my husband go for snowshoeing every weekend, and like every weekend we are at least 4 to 6 hours outside And a lot of times we spend times with our friends and ice fishing, and like there's a lot of things to do, and winter shouldn't be stuff you're having fun. And I find out that once I moved and actually living in Timmins. I'm from Mongolia, and Mongolia has 4 seasons. And I thought I seen a winter, but actually it was different winter than I experienced. But the amount of snow, I couldn't believe the first year I spent, like lots of snow, but I really enjoyed the winter. I really try to spend more time, because that seems like the winter is longer than any other warmer season. So it's like it comes with the duty of you have to enjoy it. You have to get used to it, the atmosphere, and get yourself one of the winter hobbies. For now, last 2 years, I've been enjoying snowshoeing and cross-country skiing.
That's good to know. So there's a lot of work opportunities, which we will be discussing very shortly. And all of you have highlighted, the things that are there out for people to enjoy outdoors. Now, of course, we've covered population. It's not as densely populated as some other parts of Canada. It's also the weather. It's there for everyone to judge whether it's too cold or whether it's just about right for people to still go out and enjoy the outdoors. But let's also talk about the diversity. That's Canada is throughout. It's known for its multiculturalism. It's known for its diversity. Deborah, how about you tell us a little about what exactly the diversity looks like in the region?
Oh, well, we have, it's a less of a diverse region, for example, from the larger urban areas, obviously. But we do, rather than have large pockets of different ethnicities, we tend to have a big mix from across the globe. So there might not be the big ethnic communities, but there is a sense of cohesion and belonging between the groups that are here. So some of the settlement services that we would offer to all newcomers, immigrants to Canada, would be orientation. So we would have groups that would have, say, the tax system explained, the health system explained, the school system, if people are coming with small children and they want to make sure that they are orientating their children into the schools, French school boards, English school boards, and obviously post-secondary. We're seeing a big increase in post-secondary students arrive across the region. So there are various things we can do to support newcomers. We obviously we rely on volunteers as well. So there are lots of very friendly and welcoming volunteers that will that we match with our clients to help them orientate into the community as well. I think you're seeing here a picture of the cricket teams that have developed across our region in the last few years. And I think that's a great example of newcomers giving back to the community as well and creating these recreational opportunities.
Sure. Now, of course, anyone who decides to move to the region, and we don't necessarily just mean people who are moving from different parts of the world to settle down in Northeastern Ontario. We're also talking about lots of people who are there very well within Canada and who are now looking to move to a place that gives them a better quality of life, that gives them the opportunities that they like, but also there's a work-life balance along with it. So we will be coming to exactly how COVID-19 has also affected that. We will be coming to that very, very shortly. But before that, another key concern that immigrants have when they're moving and deciding a region is the scope of opportunities available for them to be able to either blend into, go back to the careers that they had when they moved over here, or to find new areas wherein they can really perform well. So Julie, let's discuss what exactly job opportunities and the educational opportunities that the region has to offer.
Sure. I service an area, a chunk of Northeastern Ontario, as James alluded. It's a broad region. I work in a region that we call the far Northeast area. James doesn't like that name very much, thinks it makes it sound very far. I like to say it's because this region is far better than anywhere else for anyone wanting to relocate. And there are wonderful job opportunities, as James alluded as well. It's a diverse economy based. The building blocks of the economy obviously is the natural resources, mining, forestry, and agriculture. But there is a whole other sector, retail services, healthcare, education. As an organization with a mandate to promote job opportunities, we developed a local portal on which we promote the jobs in our region. It is not a portal that is aimed to compete with the Indeeds and Monsters of the world. The only jobs on our little portal are located right here in the region that we service. So in Timmins, Temiskaming Shores, and the communities around there. So the site is called jobsinfarnortheast.com. You can also search it through jobsintimmins.com, jobsintemiskamingshores.com. This morning, there were 373 active job postings on the portal. Half of those, we saw a little slower period during the early days of COVID, and up until maybe a month ago, things are picking up. We saw a significant increase in the number of job postings in the last few weeks. In fact, half of the 373 jobs were posted just in the last 2 weeks, and close to 100 in the last week or so. And they range. Had a member of our team pull a list of the jobs that were posted just in the last week, and it goes from PSWs to nurses to engineers to office clerks, administrative assistant, associate, speech, language pathologist, doctors, managers, mechanics, truck drivers is huge, medical technicians, lab technicians. There's a whole range of opportunities. So for anyone wanting to consider living in Northern Ontario, I was with another discussion earlier today where folks were saying there are jobs that are going unfilled because we don't have enough people. So our interest in encouraging people to locate to our region is so that we can continue to grow and build our communities, the jobs that are there, so that we can maintain the quality of life that we enjoy in Northern Ontario. People referred to the lifestyle a while ago and what we can do in Northern Ontario. I like to talk about the pace of life in Northern Ontario. Molly, I think you mentioned you go snowshoeing and skiing. It doesn't take you a whole day to drive to where you need to go snowshoeing and skiing. It's right there in our backyard. So that's a plus. And same applies when you're going to work. You're not commuting for long periods of time because work is all around us and within close proximity. So for anyone considering our communities in terms of jobs, and there are resources, Deborah and her team and James and all of the economic development officers in the different communities in our region are happy to assist you with your settling in our region. And obviously there are resources to help you navigate the job market as well. We promote the job opportunities on the site. You can also register to receive receive notifications when a job is posted that matches what you're looking for. And also links to services in our communities that could help you within that community in terms of navigating that job market. So I would invite anyone who's interested in locating to our region to please visit that portal, jobsinfarnortheast.com. There are 1,200 employers posting on there regularly. There are close to 4,000 job seekers or people who are interested in knowing what's happening in our region that are also registered on there. So, and for those who live in large centers, if those numbers don't seem that significant to you, they are huge for a small region like ours. In the area that we service, the total population base is roughly 120,000 people. But they're very warm, friendly, welcoming people. So that kind of offsets the snow and the cold weather, I think. Thank you.
For sure. I think you've highlighted some really amazing things about the region. You also shared a long, long list of different kinds of jobs that are available within the region. Now, I'll stay with you on this, Julie. Which out of these sectors, the ones that you mentioned, do you think are thriving the most, or wherein, there's a lot of newcomers and immigrants joining those sectors and finding great success? Are there any particular sectors within the ones that you mentioned, the job areas that you mentioned, the different professions, that you think that newcomers and immigrants and Canadians living there for a very long time, that people are finding a lot of success within, and these prosperous sectors within the job market? If
Yes,
there's anything that you'd like to talk about.
Yes, absolutely. And you mentioned through this segment as well the education part. We have 2 community colleges that are very active in our communities that those industries as well, and help people upskill if they need to. But yes, people are successful in those jobs that are available in our region. And, more and more, there are resources within our communities to help people who want to come settle in our communities, particularly immigrants. There's a lot of new initiatives and projects to support that. In fact, Timmins is one of the pilot sites for the Northern Rural Immigration Pilots, and they are using the portal that I referred to as the site where we drive employers and job seekers to seek. So there is that joint effort among the stakeholders to make sure that we promote the opportunities, but also that people who decide to come settle here are successful in achieving their career goals and obtaining employment in those occupations that I mentioned.
And you also talked about educational opportunities. There's a question at this point that we have in the Q&A section. They're asking, are there postgraduate accredited schools in the region? Is that something, Julie, you'd like to take?
There's 2 community colleges, Northern College and Collège Boreal. There's a small university presence through satellite campuses of Sioux University through Northern College. There's also a Francophone component with Université de Hearst that have campuses in several communities in the region. And obviously, and particularly now with COVID, a lot of online opportunities as well through Contact North.
Now, we will, of course, keep sharing a lot of information. By now, you would have seen that, there's a lot of interesting things that you've heard about the region. A lot of valuable information has come your way too. But let's also hear about different, all of our guest speakers' experiences. So let's go around the room and hear what is the one thing. Julie has also talked about it. Molly mentioned skiing earlier. Deborah, what would you think is so special about Northeastern Ontario, or what's special for you within the region? Why you would ask people to join or move there?
Well, one example that comes to mind, I'm also an immigrant. I've been here about 12 years now, moved from the UK 12 years ago. And when I first came here, I learned to ice skate. That was something that I had never done before. And I learned to ice skate over one winter. And then that February for Family Day, my husband and I went to Ottawa and we skated the Rideau Canal. So that was something I wouldn't have imagined being able to do years before I came. So it's little things like that just are so different. And obviously the winter is a really big example of that. They're definitely worth embracing and making the most out of it. And you do get used to it and even start to enjoy it. But in general, I would say that it's the pace of life. I think, as Julie mentioned, it's a little slower. It's a lot of outdoors activities, a lot of family-orientated activities as well. So that really sticks out for me.
James, how about you? What is it that you would say stands out when it comes to why Northeastern Ontario is a great place to live in?
So again, I'm gonna follow Julie's lead again and say it's how easy it is to do things. So I'm a snowmobiler in the wintertime, so I can leave my yard on my snowmobile and go for a ride. I don't have to trailer it somewhere and get organized. By the same token, should I wish to go out on my boat, well, it's 2 minutes from my house to the marina to hop in my boat, and that's one of the things I think is like making my salary, I'm just a poor government employee. I couldn't own those things if I lived in a large center where my housing costs were significantly high. But in a community like this, where I can buy a home for $200,000, you have disposable income to be able to buy other activities you enjoyed doing. And because we only live 2 minutes from everything, it's easy to have time to do those things.
Yeah. Now, cost of living, of course, is another point that you've just raised over here, which, you know, it's easier to establish oneself. It's easier to find that work-life balance, and at the same time, you know, live a more stress-free life within the region. That's how it seems from what everyone's been telling us over here. Raj and Shweta and Molly have also talked about the winter and the lovely weather that they've been enjoying. How about Raj? We'll hear from you now as to what your experience has been when it comes to, you know, maintaining this. What's the cost of living been like for you? How easy or difficult was it for you to find a place and accommodation? Tell us a little about your experience when you moved over here.
So living cost is very less compared to down south. Like already James says, this house is between 200 to 300,000 very good houses you can find. And same time, living cost, like you living maybe 5 or 10 minutes from your home to work, so you are not spending for like, big insurance bills, car insurance or house insurance, as well as like gas expense, right? And that's really cheaper than anywhere else.
Yeah, like you have a lot of opportunity, as you said, a lot of disposable income. At the same time, I believe as a new immigrant, a lot of people want to have big ambition as well for themselves, for their family, children, like as we do. So it's a very good opportunity when you live in a community like this. You can spare that money for yourself, enjoying, as well as you can also have your dream come true by making your savings living in such community, because if you try, you can definitely avoid some extra expenses which are in big cities, which you, if you want, can never take place in such place. And it's not that you're sacrificing your enjoyment, because you really get a lot of nature, you get a lot of community to help you, because there's so many programs, so many activities, socialization. In fact, I love the places over there where they have summer programs, fall fairs. You actually get a lot of enjoyment without sacrificing it, but at the same time, you can have your own family plans going on to save for your children or for your own self. So that's a really good match.
And same time, like if you live in big city, you are spending much money for the like lake view and cottages and stuff like that. And that's our next door. We have neighbor, everything. So that's very easy to enjoy your life and spend time with family.
Sure. Our audience, please keep your questions coming. We have our guest speakers answering those. We're here for a while. We will be answering more questions that you have to ask us. James, I'll come to you to talk about a point that both Shweta and Raj have raised over here. Who wouldn't really want to have the best of everything in a region and not have to pay, not have to shell out the kind of money that you have to really spend in bigger cities? So there's really nothing that gets compromised on. Would you want to elaborate on that when it comes to, you know, having the right balance in the region?
Sure. You know, I think as a community, we try to, the services, every service that you would need is available in the communities. They are much smaller communities, obviously, than many people would be used to, but we have our own hospitals and we have our own optometrists and dentists. All those services are in the community. So they're just less of them. And the reality is, but we have our, you know, the major box stores are here. There's a Canadian Tires and there's Walmarts and those types of things. So you're not giving up things to move to smaller communities. Those services are there. There are less of them, obviously, than you're going to get in major centers. We have a movie theater. We don't have a dozen movie theaters. You know, so but the services are there, and I want people to know that. but I think that people come here, the people that want to come here have to realize it's a small community. Some people enjoy living in large centers, and I think in Northern Ontario, like, that's not the right individual to come to Northern Ontario. There just aren't large centers. These are all small. Even if you go to our major center in Northern Ontario is Sudbury, and it's 160,000 people, but it's still small relative to most cities elsewhere in the world. So it's a small town atmosphere, and if you're looking for that lifestyle, it's wonderful.
For that. Molly, how about you? We've heard from Raj and Shweta about their experience in Temiskaming Shores. You shared earlier that you live in Timmins. Why don't you tell us a little about, how your experience of settling in within the region was when you moved here a couple of years ago?
I would have to agree with James, but it is like, I always lived in bigger cities. When I moved to Timmins like 5 years ago, I was like looking around, where are the people? Like, where is everybody? Then I went to store. I was like, okay, people here. Like, how come I don't see much people in the street and stuff? After a while, I got used to the lifestyle and pace of the days. And another thing, the things you can do in smaller towns like this, it's really close-knit, and also it's quite safe. I think the Timmins and Timiskaming Shores, the northeastern area is really suitable to families to raise their child and have fun, take a walk, have a quality lifestyle. It's the not only winter, even summertime. The Timmins is located along the Metagami River, and that's one of the biggest river. Plus, we have around the town and city like hundreds of rivers and lake, and they also have a proper like boat launch if you are into water sports during the summertime, kayaking and canoeing, boating. I think if you want to have a healthy lifestyle and a good work balance in here, like I almost see myself in that. If I want to go for a run, I don't have to take a ride 30-minute go to the trail. Like I just put my runner on, in 5 minutes I'm out in the trails.
Yeah.
And I don't have to be scared, or I don't have to be worried. And it's like, and everything's close by. I really enjoy it. And a lot of times my friends ask who lives in Toronto or Montreal, what do you do there? Like, do you have this? Do you have that? It's like, I don't live in a hole. I know it's a small town, but we have everything what you have. Like James said, we don't have a 12 movie theater, but we have one. That's well enough for the population. And Timmins is 41,000 people, 41 or 45,000 approximately, but it's truly great community, and people are applied. And recently, last 3 years, I see a lot of different ethnicity moving in. So that makes me feel also happy as well. And another thing I want to add is like Timmins is built around the mining community. So mining community and the company supports the mining daily operations. So we always look for newcomers, the people seeking for a second job opportunity or second career. And like I said, Northern College and Boreal always have a really great the programs for the newcomers or whoever seeking for a different path of a career in their life. So I think Timmins is a great place to live and play.
For sure. I think that's one common thing that everyone has been saying over here, and sharing enough experiences with the people as well. I see a lot of questions in the Q&A section. These are quick questions that we have. I'll throw them to the guest speakers. Anyone can answer this for us. Okay, so the first one here is there transportation services to move out into the city? Now, who'd like to talk about that? Very briefly, if you could just.
Yes, there is transport facility, like even within New Liskeard being a very small place, there are bus facility for students, for workers within highway to city, so people can move around without having their own vehicle. They still have a better job prospect without having a vehicle. Though there are some limitations of timing, it's not like 24/7, but still there is a fair amount of communication and transportation going on. So even if you want to move between cities or within your place, there are bus transports available.
Yeah. I see another question about the internet service, which I have no reason to believe why it would not be as competent as in any other part of Canada. So if that is the case, then of course we should be discussing that. But I'm pretty
Well,
sure that
it
is
shouldn't be
an
any problem. Honestly, I have been studying, I have been doing all my work through internet. I never had such a question that there is no access to it.
yeah, like everyone over here among our guest speakers, everyone has been sharing that exactly. It might be a smaller town, but the way I see it now, this brings me to a question related to COVID as well. Suddenly, in the middle of our normal lives, there was COVID-19 and a scare that has affected us so badly that we're still within our homes. Now, at a time like this, the need to actually be in an area wherein you have all the facilities, yet you're safe, to be able to socially distance from one another, keep your family safe. That's also a very valid discussion at this point. Julie, what would you want to say about how is it that the area, the region has been managing COVID-19 as well? Maybe not the details, but what's the benefit of living in a region like Northeastern Ontario, specifically when it comes to dealing with a pandemic like COVID-19?
Well, as you mentioned, there's a lot of space for social distancing throughout the COVID. When I was working from home, I would take my afternoon break and lunch break and go hiking in my trails and feed the birds. So there's plenty of room to do that. I live in a community called Hearst, which is even further north and west to Timiskaming Shores and Timmins. There were 0 COVID-19 cases in our community. So there are fewer people, so obviously less transmission of the virus, so safer environment. And I think it was Molly again who mentioned a safe environment to raise a family as well, safe communities, smaller communities. But definitely in light of COVID, I was happy that I lived in a small rural Northern Ontario community as opposed to a large center.
Deborah, I'll pose the next question to you over here. Martha, who's joining us on Zoom, is asking do hospitals have medical specialists for heart, lung cancer? Now, of course, there might be big hospitals there as well. What would you have to say about the facilities available in the region?
That's an interesting question. I think that anything that required a specialist that we didn't have in this region would be referred very efficiently to other areas. We do have hospitals in the region, absolutely, and they do have their specialisms. But I could follow up with that after doing a bit more research.
And actually, I can add to that if you'd like.
Yeah.
Certainly, you're right. There won't be every specialist at every hospital throughout the region. There are Sudbury, North Bay, and Timmins have larger regional hospitals and likely have some specialists at each. And so you'll be referred, if you're in one of the smaller communities, you'll be referred to one of those larger communities for that specialized service. And on occasion, you may be referred to Toronto or Ottawa for a specialty service that just isn't offered in the north. But at which time there's government programs to cover your expenses for travel to the other hospital for those services.
James, I'll stay with you for the next question, which is about, we've been discussing a lot of great things that one can do and the role of outdoors. Outdoors play a great role, a big one in every resident's life in Northeastern Ontario. What, according to you, would you want to name a few top attractions within the region?
Sure. So again, it's Northern Ontario is wilderness outdoors experiences. That's our thing. We don't have Canada's Wonderland, and we don't have major. There's some good attractions. Cochrane, Ontario, which is about an hour northeast of Timmins, has a wonderful polar bear exhibit. So you can go and see live polar bears in their sort of natural habitat. They have a special pond, etc., that you can go. You can actually even swim with the polar bears, just with a piece of glass between you. In Timmins itself, they have a wonderful live animal sort of, I don't know, it's not a zoo because it's a wildlife park at one of the local hotels. And you can go on a wagon ride through with moose and buffalo and various other animals. In Timiskaming Shores, just here, we have a Eastern Canada's largest bison herd. So you can go see live bison in their natural habitat. But then there are other attractions. I mean, Sudbury has Science North, which is an extension of the Ontario Science Centre from Toronto. So similar type facility as that. But those are and then there's thousands and thousands of hiking trails and other outdoor activities. But that kind of is our thing. You need to be someone who wants to be outdoors, whether you like walking or whether you like paddling or swimming, or it is definitely more of an outdoors lifestyle. And so those are the things to do while here.
Sounds fascinating. We've of course now discussed a lot of positives about the Northeastern Ontario, but like every other city, every other region, there are also some typical challenges in an area that, that immigrants, newcomers, international students, and residents in general face. So let's discuss that. Deborah, I'll come to you first to discuss about, here's also a question related to that that I see in the section over here, which is, do you have community centers or places to support integration of newcomers? Now, you spoke about the services and the resources available for newcomers. Could you tell us a little more about that, elaborate on that, and then tell us what are some of the key challenges that newcomers that you interact with have shared with you with regards to the area?
Oh yeah, we provide a diverse range of services for the integration of newcomers, one-on-one support for individuals, for families. It's really dependent on the need of the newcomer. We try and tailor our services towards that. It includes group activities, which can help somebody integrate into a community by meeting people. You need to increase your networks, make friends, get involved in the things that interest you. Some of the challenges would be accreditation, English or French as a second language. So that is often we see clients needing services in that area. Really, we see people who are needing to connect, needing to feel valued, needing to want to, give back to their community. And we try and meet their needs as best we can.
And I think everyone in the guest speakers has also shared that there's a lot of support available, and the different cities that form the region are also very forthcoming in helping out whoever moves there with settlement and integrating within the communities. These are close-knit communities that are there to support each other and have a good time together. Moving to challenges in the job areas, in the job market when it comes to employment. Julie, how about you share a little bit that, in your interaction maybe with newcomers, or when you look at the job market, what are some of the key challenges that you see or have encountered when interacting with people?
Well, what we're hearing is if someone wants to come settle here with their family, there might be a job for one of the spouses, but not for the other. So there's some work being done in that regard with all of the agencies that are working to assist with settlement and attraction of newcomers, making sure that we are aware of and try to accommodate the family unit and everyone in the family who needs to tap into the job market. So not focus on an individual, but the entire needs of that individual and their families. So I would say that is one of the challenges. we've heard on some occasion language in some cases is we're in a very bilingual region. In some cases, the jobs require that the person be bilingual in order to tap into that opportunity. So that's something that people need to know, to inquire about that, although it's oftentimes indicated in the job posting, but that definitely could pose a challenge if someone is not fluent in both French and English, particularly in the service sector, because it is a region, some communities with as high as 90% Francophone population, 60%. So there needs to be that knowledge as well when looking at the jobs to make sure that we are a fit in terms of the language requirements, although there are, again, resources being implemented to help people increase their language skills, whether in English and in French. That's becoming more and more available in the communities.
So what I'm hearing is that, even though there are challenges, there's a lot of support system as well around that. And these challenges are being addressed as they come. And of course, the fact that, a lot of people are still moving and it's a thriving community within the region is proof that, there's work being done and there's work that's being appreciated as well. Moving to another question, Brent over here is asking, I think this is a question that can be best answered by both Raj and Shweta here and then Molly as well. Did you consider living in a smaller center prior to immigrating to Canada? Or did you consider moving to another province first and then moving over here? What was your experience? What made you move to the region? Molly, let's start with you first, maybe.
Actually, moving to Timmins was never were in my mind, if I could say 10 years ago. I met my husband and I've been in the mining sector since 2007. So I met my husband through work. We used to work together in one of the biggest projects in Mongolia. It's called Ayutthaya. And I was working at the time as a warehouse manager, and my husband came as a trainer, as jumbo man / trainer. So when we met, and initially our plan was to settle in Mongolia, because I just didn't have that guts to say yes, okay, let's go leave everything, let's move somewhere else. But and a couple of years later, after we living in Mongolia, that we faced some challenges, and that it's necessary to come back to Canada. So yeah, then that was the reason why I got here, but that's not something I regret or I wish I stayed in Mongolia. So I'm thankful I'm here, and I'm really glad I had a great opportunity to work for a great company, and it took a little bit of time, but I picked up where I left from Mongolia.
Is your experience in mining, the industry that you're in, also, was that one of the reasons why you chose Timmins as well?
Yes, because I was always in the purchasing and warehousing and procurement department area since 2007, like I mentioned, and the northern district section of the area is lots of mining, and job ability is much greater than the bigger cities. So yeah. And one of the challenges I would like to say is sure. Communication. So based on our culture, where I'm from, then I had to adjust quite a bit how I express and how we use. Like when I were in Mongolia, the company was like English-based company. There's like 99% of the people speak English, and it was day-to-day operation based runs on English. But when I got here, the biggest challenge was like the day-to-day how we interact and how I use, where I use, what kind of words was much different. And the Mongolian language itself doesn't dictate to express yourself in politely or some. I'm not sure how to explain, but like there is quite a bit of challenge I had when I start working in Canada.
But like, is that a challenge? Sorry.
Yeah, I think it's more of a culture, how I raised, where I'm from, and it was just the work ethic is different as well. So I had to adjust quite a bit and learn. And
Is that something that you have been able to overcome ever since? And you know that, or is that something that you? Yeah.
Sorry, over the years, yes, it's I'm still work in progress.
Yep.
Yeah, nobody's perfect. I'm getting there, but yeah, I still have a little bit old me in me, but the new me in me as well. So it's getting better. But also, I would like to mention another challenge. It's not related to work, but a personal challenge was having a social circle, leaving your social circle, moving to the new country. And I believe I'm the only one Mongolian in my city. And of course, Mongolian language itself is not well known too. Like people still ask, is Mongolia, you have your own language? Yes, we do. You know, it was first couple of months for me was really challenging, is making friends, meeting people. And the plus side, I got here during the winter time, January, and it's like I was at home. It's like, oh my God, I need to find a job to meet people. I gotta get out of home. And even I get out of home, I can't see people. It's like, what do I do? How do I meet people? And eventually I got job, and I also joined gym, and through that I met a lot of people. And yeah, that was something I found really hard. I never thought with my personality and I would have a hard time finding friends or make a new circle, but I'm still gets challenged on that.
But I'm guessing, you know, as you share this, sorry to cut you here, please go ahead.
Sorry, so whoever is moving from different area of Canada to this area, I'm sure you already have your friend circles or your social circles already built around you. But if you are coming from, for example, another country, newcomer coming right to any other country, I could say you should be ready for that change of that social lifestyle, I guess I could say.
A lot of challenges that, you know, you spoke about, I think are also common challenges for everyone who decides to immigrate to another country. I think these are challenges that come with moving to a different country, whether it's Canada, whether it's any other place. Culturally, things are different, language is different. You know, it takes a while to adjust. And you've also shared that, you know, you're a work in progress and you're doing well. So all the best with that to you. Moving to Raj and Sweta over here, tell us a little about your journey and what it's been like for you, settling in, integration for you.
Well, settling down and remembering those days back when we started, I believe moving to North, especially for me, I was quite happy because my affordability was quite high. Rather than being like, we moved from India, of course, with big dreams to settle down, especially we wanted our children to have a better life, a better education, which we thought in terms of affordability, we might struggle in later days. So that was our aim to come here. We definitely came to Toronto. I pursued higher education. So we were just trying to find a balance whether we could be settling down in Southern Ontario or in Northern Ontario. So I was studying and Raj got the opportunity to go there. So we moved there and we really had a good chance to observe both the places simultaneously. And my personal experience was I was more happy there because, as I said, my affordability was very high. We really had a very good balance of life. Plus timing, as Julie had mentioned, like, you know, everything is so close by. You really don't have to spend a lot of time traveling from your work to the places, no traffic, no other accidental jams, and no such other things, right? So you definitely have a lot of time for yourself, for nature, for children, and also, as I said, every immigrant who come have a hope to develop themselves, to develop their career. So also I find that you get that space where the community is quiet, you have a lot of time for yourself, for your family to grow within yourself. So I should say it's a very best bet to move yourself in such a place where a lot of other people are not actually distracting you, and you can definitely give a chance for yourself to move on in your life, to develop as much as you can do. And yes, there are a lot of challenges that she was mentioning, but when you come out of your own comfort zone, from your own house, definitely it's going to be a challenge. So no matter where you are in the world, when you leave your home, that's the biggest challenge.
Yeah.
So, but we definitely had that opportunity to outcome that very easily because we made good friends there. People were very supportive, and also safety was never an issue, which was the biggest thing. Even if you forget something, you don't have to think whether the thing will be over there or it's lost. Like, you know, it is definitely there. So things like that, some things I literally forgot in my life. That there's something like, you know, crime, security, these things really are there. You will definitely forget such things. So a very good balance of life with fighting.
Raj, anything you'd like to add to that?
Same time, we came first in Toronto. He finished the graduation, York University, masters, and then like we try here for business, but not work out. And we moved Northern Ontario, and luckily I choose the New Lisker as my home, and I'm glad I did that decision. And today, whatever I'm here, because I choose the right decision. That's why.
So both, Raj and Sweta here and Molly have, of course, shared their experiences with us and given you lots of reasons why any person who is joining us over here today and has been listening to the conversation so far would definitely be convinced as to why Northeastern Ontario is a great place to move to. Before we wrap up the session, I'll quickly go to Julie, Deborah, and James for your 2 bits as well, or any last words that you have for our participants today on why they should move here or anything that they should remember. What's your advice? One piece of advice from each of you. Julie, how about we start with you?
All right, I've been holding on to these 2 thoughts. We talked a lot about winter, but we do have a summer. It's not winter 12 months a year. We've had wonderful weather the last few weeks. I've been gardening, so that's another thing you could do up here, particularly in the Timiskaming Shores area. And as James mentioned, we're outdoors people. That's what we do. That's what we're about. But there's also our whole cultural, artistic activities that people can do as well. There are arts councils, there's art galleries, there's art classes. There's cultural activities, Francophone, Indigenous, different cultures that are in our community. So just to put the word out there, it's not all about winter and all about work and playing outdoors. There's a lot more to Northeastern Ontario. And as born and raised here, I've always said, you're not supposed to say never, never. I will never leave Northeastern Ontario. So anyone who wants to settle here, I'm sure will be happy with the decision.
Before we move on, Julie, a quick question if you could answer over here. Eunice is asking us, is it advisable to move to a region first and then look for a job, or get a job before moving to Northeastern Ontario? What would your quick answer be for that?
Oh, that's a tough one. It depends on the person's situation. I think looking at the job market before coming might be a good idea. So you know if there's a fit with what you're looking for, and maybe contacting some of the agencies would be helpful as well prior to coming.
Sure. We will also be sharing a lot of resources that our guest speakers have mentioned, which will help you decide or answer any other questions that you have in mind. Deborah, moving to you, what would your last piece of advice be for our participants today?
I'm not sure it's advice. I don't think I could top what Julie said about the region as a whole, but one resource that might be useful is neoimmigration.ca, so Northeastern Ontario immigration.ca, which is a really great resource. It details all the communities in the area. It has them all in one place. It tells you the population, the cost of living, recreational activities in those areas. So that's something I would really recommend checking out.
All right. And James, coming to you.
So my resource, it's an excellent resource, and because all the communities are so different across the region, and I mean, we've got communities from 250 people up to 160,000, right? So you can't just say come to Northeast Ontario. There are 40 or 50 communities in this region that you could consider settling in. And as Julie mentioned, I think you're best to look for work that suits your needs and then look at the communities near where that work is. As we mentioned, our community, Timiskaming Shores, we're about 5 hours directly north of Toronto. But Julie is another 5 hours past me in Hearst. So it's a large district. You have to realize that there's a lot of distance between these communities. So look for that employment that's going to suit your family's needs, and then look at the communities around that employment where it's best fit for.
Thank you, James, and thank you to all our guest speakers today for your lovely insights, for all the questions that you've answered, and for all the valuable information that you've shared with the participants today. We hope that we've been helpful. We hope that we've been answering a lot of questions that you had in mind. You would have learned a lot more about the region. With that, we are wrapping up the session for today. You will see on your screens a list of resources that our guest speakers have shared with you. Don't worry about noting them down already. We will be sharing these with you in our communication post the webinar as well, so that you will have just about everything that you see on the screen, these resources, and a little more with you in our following communication. Today, we organize a lot of sessions. Every week, we discuss important topics that help newcomers and international students in Canada and those who are planning to move here. So watch out for our next session. You can also follow us on our social media channels to get updates about our upcoming sessions and the wonderful content that we keep sharing. We're on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Telegram, all of these channels. So connect with us, tag us in your journey. It would be lovely to know more about you. Another way for you to find out more about our content and get updates would be to sign up for our New Canadians e-newsletter. Subscribe to it and you'll get lots of information too. It's been lovely having everyone over. We hope we've been helpful. Before you log out, we would request for you to just take a minute of your time and answer this quick survey that we have for you. This would help us understand if we did a good job or what is it that we can do to serve you better the next time. Thank you for your participation, and thank you to our guest speakers once again for joining us and sharing this amazing advice with all our participants.